Hey! So, welcome back. This will probably be the fourth installment of Futurist Fridays, is what I'm going to call it from now on. I was calling it Sci Friday, but that's kind of been taken and I kind of just stole it. Actually, no. I like and I really appreciate the fact that PBS has, or NPR has lots of really good information. They talk about science. It's pretty much the only mainstream science education that goes on television or radio. Sorry, not television. Anyway, yeah, so that's good stuff. And I was sort of glomming onto it because the project that I'm currently working on, and will be working on for the foreseeable future, is a 3D printing STEAM app. STEAM being science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And you'll basically sort of like be assembling your own android, similar to Build-A-Bear. And in order to do that, you'll have to learn some basic scientific principles, which will actually be the game mechanics that you'll be playing in the various, the various parts of STEAM. So each science, technology, engineering, art, mathematical level will have its own game mechanic, and it'll also be taught to you by famous scientists and artists and technologists and that sort of thing. So it's a really complex project, but in actuality, it's simply explaining how to make dolls, how to make a ball jointed doll, and how to actually 3D print a ball jointed doll. So along the way, the player will actually learn some of the basic principles of 3D printing and the science that goes behind it. So they'll be learning about stepper motors and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so that's basically what I'm working on here at UniCron Studios. That's my company. And I have a prototype, which I've shown probably once before, but I'll show it again. This is my first prototype. She is a fully articulate ball jointed doll. She's a little worse for wear, but I've been literally just dropping her on the floor and seeing how much the skeleton or the body can actually handle. This is made out of ABS plastic, and I printed her on my MakerBot 2X, which is actually right here. That's the sound you might be hearing on the side. And she's a little creepy right now. She doesn't have any hair. Now I have a real ball jointed doll, one that is cast in resin, and set me back some good money, but it was well worth the investment. I'm really interested in not only making these for the collector's market at first, but also having the ability to let people make them themselves. So I'm essentially going to be giving the app away, and the idea is that you will, if you want to get into 3D printing, you'll be able to buy the models that you create in my game by way of going to Shapeways. There'll be also the ability to download your own model that you've created as an OBJ file or an STL. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to go with. Anyway, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, please drop me a line. I'm looking for a game designer and a programmer, people who are basically be sort of a jack of all trades. I'm going to need like an exporter to be written so that I can take my 3D animation files or the actual model that's rigged, so that the student can actually, the player can actually sort of manipulate the model, change its scale, maybe even change facial features and that kind of thing, and re-export the FBX or whatever the model is into a model that they can actually 3D print. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to go that way, like right out of the software and just basically whole hog export it so that they can download it. But if I do that, I'm going to need to make sure that the model is printable, at least for the most part. That meaning that it has a manifold mesh without any holes in it, because it actually needs to be solid with an inner and outer layer, which does give us some problems when it comes to actually making it for a game model. So I'm aware of the limitations of game engines. I've been doing games for a while, and so that might be a problem. We may not be able to actually fully give the player the ability to download and print their own model. But we could take information from the data set, from what the player actually does, take all those scalar changes that they made, and get that as essentially an array of information. And then we could use that and apply it to our own model, and then just essentially do all the slicing and dicing behind the scenes on a server somewhere. I'd rather not do that, but we may have to do that just because it's the complexity of the 3D models for printing are probably not going to be ready for runtime. Although they could possibly be on the happening behind the scenes, maybe like a render that's going down for the player to get their model. Anyway, that's that. I'm actually realizing my print is looking like crap right now, so I'm going to stop it. I'm trying to do some elastic. It's failing horribly. So I just got a new Samsung cell phone, and I was actually printing a case for it, and it's looking like shredded wheat right now, so that's usually not a good sign. My print has gone horribly wrong. That's what that means. Alright, anyway, I'll try to keep a stiff upper lip, and I will be, let's see, let's switch over to, what are we doing in, no, okay, well, I will be getting to Fusion 360 real soon. That's where I'm modeling my ball jointed doll skeleton. And, well, that's that for now. I would like to show you, actually, what I'm trying to print. And just hold on for a second, and I'll show you that. Okay, there we go. And let's bring that to the front. Move the top. Yes. And turning off. Alright. So that is my cell phone case for a giant new cell phone I just got. I'm really afraid that I'm going to drop it and destroy it, which I haven't done that to my last cell phone. I had that for 4 years, but I want to tempt fate, so I'm trying to print a sort of Blade Runner-esque thing that I've made. I got the base model for the phone. It's a Samsung S6 from the Thingiverse, and then I applied these cuts, all this Boolean shape here. And so that's that. And I'm going to try to... oh, there's a kitty. Hey, kitty. Alright. So, that's what... I'm going to actually end this print right now. Cancel build. Yes, cancel that build. Alright, so... and I'll show you what this mess looks like. Okay. So, unfortunately, the rest of the oh jeez. Alright, well, it's a gooey mess right now. The first layer went down really well, and then everything went to crap after that. But so what I've got here is a camera that's not cooperating. Alright, what I've got here is a MakerBot 2X that I've modified so that I can do lower end not color, other types of materials other than ABS plastic. which is basically all the the MakerBot 2X can handle is ABS plastic. So I ripped out the whole extruder. Extruder's a little thing up top here. So I replaced the whole the heat block and all the stuff going in through here because it just would overheat if you tried to put any of the other types of materials in, like corn-based plastic and stuff. And I'm trying to use an elastomer filament right now, which is stretchy. As you can see, it's kind of almost like I don't know, I can't really describe it. It's kind of, it's like the stuff on the back of a glue. Like, yeah, it's almost like the glue that you get on the back of paper sometimes. It has a kind of stretchy quality. And if I ever get it to print right, which I have an example of my first attempt at using it, and it came out really well, and I was like, oh wow, this is going to be great. And unfortunately, it was a little stringy at the time. I was like, oh well, I'll just keep adjusting these settings. And I never kept a copy of the original adjustment, but this is pretty thick, and it didn't turn into shredded wheat. And as you can see, it's Nikola Tesla. It was as I basically was. We were cosplaying with my girlfriend as sort of a what if Tesla had been hired by the government and maybe developed his death ray and maybe developed automatons and remote control death machines, something like that. Which he actually was going to sell. Tesla was going to sell some kind of death ray to the military, but he was going to try to distribute it among the main governments in the world, and so no one government would have it. And needless to say, there was a lot of problems with that. So anyway, enough about Tesla. So yeah, I'm just going to try to clear off this stuff as really fast as I can. There's a little scraper here. And what I'm going to do is try to print this in ABS plastic because the machine can still do that pretty well. I haven't figured out the settings for this elastomer plastic yet, but you do what you can. So I'm going to go back in here. And so I bought this Replicator 2X about 2 years ago. I just recently gotten laid off from my game job, which was happening a lot, like every couple of years. And I can talk to you about the game industry later, but inevitably what I decided to do was try to strike out and do something different with my career. And one of those ideas was, well, I've always wanted to take stuff from the virtual world and bring it into the real world. And from the moment I saw it in Tron, I was just blown away by the concept. And also, they scanned stuff in. They scanned in an orange, and then they turned it back into an orange after they bring it into the computer world. And I was just, as a 7-year-old child, seeing that, it was just effing amazing. I was just so incredibly overwhelmed by that idea. And it did formulate in the back of my mind at that point that I wanted to do this stuff. I wanted to work in the virtual world and possibly make stuff real. So being able to actually print stuff that I've modeled in the virtual world and I've been doing this for like 16, 18 years now. From the point I went from a business major to an art major in college, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And it helped that Toy Story had just come out. But I had been researching and looking into 3D animation for a while, even before then. Actually, I have been doing 3D printing since 2002, I think. I'll show you my first 3D print. Alright, so this is probably about $80 to $90 worth of materials. It was printed in sandstone, and it's solid, like totally solid. I had no idea what I was doing. In fact, this was a Bjork model that I was working on, and she actually had eyes when I sent her to the printer, but because it was a separate model, it wasn't treated as a uniform, like, solid mesh. So they did what they could because they were trying to sell this $500,000 machine to my company that I happened to be working for at the time. And they're like, hey, just email us a 3D model and we'll make a print from it. And I'm like, oh, great. So I think they actually printed this at the largest possible size that they could, which just happens to be almost the same scale as, and it's actually, no, not quite. It's probably a quarter scale model. Anyway, so this was going to be Bjork. I was actually really trying to do it was an animation of, oh jeez, what was that song? I think the song was called, the idea was that she was a fountain of blood in the shape of a girl, which was a really interesting concept, and it was going to basically have her as the fountain, as a sort of an animated fluid system, but I never got around to doing that. Anyway, so that was that. Yep, so I've been doing 3D printing for a while, and I'm going to try to reprint this case. I think I'm actually going to have to bump it up a little bit, so let me show you what I'm going to have to do with that. Let's see, MakerBot. Okay, so I'm actually using older software, and it's kind of crappy that I have to do this because MakerWare, or whatever this is has gone fallow for me because I've upgraded my machine to be able to do other types of filament, and because this experimental printer isn't actually experimental, because they haven't really supported it as I thought they were going to. Don't get me on that, but anyway, I basically can't use the software the way it should be used, and all my profiles get ruined if I try to upgrade. I think I'm like 5 iterations behind, so I can't upgrade really to the newest version of Maker software. MakerBot is just, yeah, I don't know what's going on with them. Anyway, so I'm going to switch this extruder to the right-hand one because the 2X actually has 2 different extruders, which allows you to do 2 different types of materials, supposedly, although I've never actually gotten that to work too well. But I would love to be able to print a PCB, print a control circuit, whatever that is, control board. So you have one filament that's like graphene, and the other filament that's say a non-conductive filament, and you can just plug in your batteries and your stuff right into the board, and the board can actually be part of a functional object. It's really cool stuff. Anyway, back to this. So I'm basically just going to quickly set this up. I'm going to switch this to a, let's see, I'll do standard resolution, and I'll do an infill of 5%, and layer height of 2 is fine. Actually, maybe I'll make it a little, nah, that'll be fine. We'll just knock it out. Shells, okay, we'll do 2 shells. I'm going to save that, and then everything looks good there. Let's just make sure that I did this right. Color matte, no raft. We do want supports, color matched. Okay. Supports will actually hold up things like this little area here, or the areas on the side that are sort of unsupported. Those sort of sag and look really bad, and you may not even print the full thing if you don't put supports underneath it. So anyway, so I'm going to hit save settings, and then I go print, and oops, okay. Well, you can't see it, but it's currently rendering that. Alright, and I'm going to put that window down. Alright, so tonight I will be sculpting, and actually I'll be probably just modeling some stuff in Fusion 360. And, oh wait, let's go back here for a second. Alright. Alright, so you can't see that, unfortunately. I don't have that set up properly, but I'm going to do a print preview. No, it's not catching any of that, so let me go in here to properties and entire window. Yes. Compatibility mode, I don't know, layer, capture layer. Maybe that'll work. No, that's not working. Oh well. Anyway, I wanted to show you the really nifty preview, but for some reason the software's not letting me show you the nifty preview. So anyway, this is telling me no, don't want that. Cancel. I think I actually need to make this a little bit bigger. Sometimes when you print stuff, especially in ABS, it shrinks a little bit, so I'm going to actually scale it up by a point, I'll make it 101%. It's going to be slightly bigger than it really is, or than it should be. Alright, now I'm going to try printing. Well, first I'm going to actually drop that down on platform. Let's try printing this again. Alright, this is not that exciting. Anyway, so this week, let's go back into, bring my face up here again. Okay, so this week, basically I was really interested in some stuff that I actually purchased my new phone on Monday, and it is a Samsung S6, and the reason why I got it is because the Samsung company is working with Oculus, and I have actually been developing a prototype for the Oculus Rift, and actually this week they announced the new Oculus Rift, and or rather the full consumer version of it, which was a lot more expensive than I was hoping. So that just clinched it for me. I'd already kind of decided I wanted to get the gear, but the gear allows you to take your Samsung phone and essentially do what the first version of the DK1, the development kit 1 for the Oculus, it allows you to move your head around basically with this thing strapped in front of your face, and you get a pretty good quality VR experience. So anybody who has a phone, has a Samsung Note, Galaxy Note, and S6, and S6 Edge, and the Plus, I think, all of those will allow you to basically, for $100 more, you strap it into this device that basically supposedly comfortably, will sit on your face and allow you to go into a VR world. Lightweight, it's very light supposedly, and it also has a very nice adjuster on it. The difference between the DK1 optics and DK2 optics means that I could take off my glasses and actually put on the DK2, whereas I would have had to switch out some of the lenses in the DK1 in order to actually use that. So it's actually a consumer product that a lot of people are going to be able to try on and really get into virtual reality in this century, because the 90s version of virtual reality kind of blew, and it was overpromised and underdelivered in such a horrible way. But it was the go-go 90s when a lot of speculation was going on and crazy web development shit. People made a lot of money, and a lot of promises were made and never kept. So now, 20 years later, we're finally getting around to doing what we were promising, or what they were promising. We're actually doing what they were promising. So, anyway, let me check this print preview real quick. And this looks a little bit better than it did last time. Ugh, son of a bitch. Alright. Yeah, it's trying to put some... It's going to put some really nasty shit on it, so I need to cancel that. I'm going to lower it down one. Problem is, I have supports in it, but it's trying to put a layer of supports right on the face of the phone. So I've got the actual bottom of the protector, and the whole bottom is going to be covered in this nasty stuff that it'll take a long time to remove. So I need to actually basically get it on the. I need to get this print on the bed leveled, and for some reason it did it before, but now it's not. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm just going to drop it down by a whole lot. Let me put that on the platform. All right, I'm going to drop it down by 0.001 millimeter. Wait, no, negative and it's not doing anything. Okay, how about that? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Drop down by 2. Okay, so I'm trying doing this again. No, don't put the platform. I'm trying to force it. Keep position, you bastard machine. All right. And it's printing, and stuff is happening, blah blah blah. Alright, so back to what I'm doing over here. So basically, the reason why I'm getting, why I want to make sure the screen doesn't get cracked is so that when I actually do get my gear, I can stick the phone in and test out some really nice stuff, either made in Unity or Unreal. There are interesting things about VR. If you want to get a high resolution, great experience at 60 frames a second on your cell phone, you need to not have very many textures and or not have too many draw calls. And draw call is essentially the machine, the processor is doing a check for a model, it's doing a check for lighting, it's calling up the texture and slapping that texture on the polygon, and it's doing a depth check to see how many polygons are in front of that polygon or how many are behind it, and then rendering them. And every time it's doing a check, that's a draw call, or at least that's the rough artist rendition of a draw call. I'm sure a programmer is probably pulling their hairs out going, no, that's completely wrong. But anyway, that's my understanding. And the idea is you want to try to reduce that to as little texture as possible, those little draw calls as possible, so you don't have all that shit running through the processor where your measly cell phone processor can not really probably render a whole lot, especially at 60 frames a second, where you're taking basically what amounted to be one model and one camera and some lights that are probably already baked, not real time. I'll get into that if you want. But anyway, so all that stuff needs to actually be, not just one, but two flashing at the same time at 60 frames a second. Actually, it's more like 30 frames a second. And so we're talking about 2 different cameras that need to be rendered at the same time. And so that's why if you go below that, the human brain catches on that there's something wrong, and you'll get motion sick like instantly, or at least very quickly. And one of the problems I found in the initial tests that I did of the Oculus, I tried moving a thumbstick and turning my head in the same direction that I was moving. And so what I got was essentially I was on a merry-go-round in a matter of seconds of it's basically double rotation, and your brain doesn't work too well. You move your head and then your whole world gets turned at the same time. It really just makes you sick, and I had to take it off immediately. Anyway, hopefully developers out there are not going to let you do that kind of thing, and if you just have this thing on your head and you're moving it around, you can connect a Microsoft game controller, and you could have a stick interaction, but at first you're probably just going to get your head in a world and you're going to be looking around. So any kind of experience you have is going to be related to your headspace. And I think that's actually probably a safer way about going about introducing people to this new technology. Because if you don't, there's going to be a lot of really sick people out there, or people who get irritated about it, and we just can't do that. It's going to kill the industry. It won't kill it, but it'll definitely reduce the amount of adoption, or even just interest, because people are like, oh, I tried that VR stuff and it's crap. I just can't do it. Anyway, so enough of me yapping. This thing is just not going to print without doing these stupid friggin' lines. So I am going to print it without any supports. And we'll just see what happens. I have no idea how it's going to print, but I'm tired of futzing with this. Is that a word? Move to platform. Yes. Okay. And I better not put anything now because so I took away all the support, so it's probably going to bow and look really crappy, but at least I'll see if the design works and it fits the phone. Yep, and we're just looking at an empty, non-interesting screen. Alright, well, that was all I wanted to talk about that, and now it's finally shut down. That's nice. Well, you're going to be reheating real soon. Let's turn on our right tool, turn off the left. I'm preheating the oven. We're gonna have some 3D printing going on here. Print preview. Let's take a look at what this puppy looks like. Oh yeah, that's gonna be rough. But it'll print, at least to print the bottom. We'll see. Alright. Prepare for liftoff. And that's going to, so it's right now verifying the model. And I'm going to actually put a plastic covering over it. And plastic covering protects our lungs. Who knows what kind of ABS plastic fumes we've got in here. Sounds like it's going. Sorry, I'm really excited. Important for me to watch the first few seconds because I have to make sure that everything isn't screwed up. Sorry, let's wrap off here. All right, well, oh yeah, my tie that my girlfriend got me today, or for Christmas, is a celebration of, you guessed it, Blade Runner. And today is the inception date of Mr. Roy Beatty, the Nexus 7 or Nexus 6, one of those. He's the highly advanced war-based android, or replicant. He's not an android in the movie. In the book, he's an android, but in the movie, he's a replicant, which makes them probably more likely to be flesh and blood, because you actually do see them bleeding. So they're genetically altered things. Here's my logo. It's on my hat. Anyway. Okay, so that's going to be heating, and my cat is on a box. Anyway. Alright, let's get to going here. I'm going to load up the Fusion 360. And I'm going to be doing the ball jointed doll portion of this. And let's go right into Fusion 360. Okay. Make this a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm working on. Alright. So basically what I have here in Fusion 360 is my entire mesh model of my ball jointed doll. And I'm just basically showing you everything. So this is what the model looks like. I imported it into this solid modeling program. For the most part, she was created in, I created her in 3D Studio Max. Years ago, she was actually a Battle Angel Alita model that I was planning on making a game with or doing something on my demo reel for. That never really worked out, but so what I did was I basically took her game resolution model into ZBrush and then just started sculpting away at it. So I made her translucent so I can see the channels inside her body and sort of make sure that I'm either not going to repeat the mistakes, like this is a really small channel in here, and then it gets big for no reason, but I need to be able to make sure that the like you see how small this channel is in here? I need to basically make sure that a string about yay big can be woven all the way through there and then back again if I want to do that, which is probably the best way to do it. You have a nylon string with a lot of springiness, an elastic spring, or elastic nylon string that goes in from the head down all the way through the leg and then loops around a little. There's usually like an S hook in here, and then goes back up through the leg, back all the way up through the torso, and then finishes off in a knot in the head. The arms are actually a separate string which comes from the head. Actually, it doesn't have to come from the head. It actually is right in here. So you string it in through one arm and then back around, and then you put it all the way over here to the other arm and then back around. And I think either you run it back up through the head or you tie it off in the middle. I think you tie it off in the middle, actually. Anyway, so that is what I originally made. And unfortunately, if you look on the side view, this channel in the back here, which is closer to where the spine would be on a real human. You know, get out of here, cat. You're not welcome to be 3D printing tonight. Sorry, my cat is trying to get my attention. I'll get your attention. Now, come here. Alright. Nothing sillier than a man chasing his cat or hat. One of those. Cat in a hat. Here's a hat. Alright. Anyway, yeah, so what happened here was basically my spine idea. I was like, oh, I'm just going to run all the string up through the spine. Unfortunately, it makes her pull forward, so she's always... Oh, here, let me show you what happened. So I wound up, you know, making that model, and then now she's got problems sitting up straight. She, like, basically is always arching her back, and it's because all the tension up here in the head pulls the whole body into a really painful looking arch. So I mean, you can get her out of that arch, but she won't really hold that pose that well. She always sort of leans back. So I think it's mostly because of that choice of putting the spine, or opening this hole in the back of the, which you can see it there. Actually, it's probably more likely to see it in here. So yeah, here's this part of the torso. All the tension is on the back of it, and it should be straight down the center. Anyway, so that was a lesson learned. If you don't fail, you don't learn. So I do need to fail. And this is, oh, speaking of fail, oh my god, that is awful. Ugh. Alright. You'll have to excuse me, I'm working with a printer that's not wanting to work with me. You know what, I think I'm just going to cancel this whole printing idea tonight. Because we have failed a second time, and why is there... Oh my god, I don't know what's going on here. There's all kinds of mess. Alright, well, it's all hot and ready to go, so I'm going to just try running it again. Maybe it just needed to work out its little problem. Goo. Ugh. Alright, anyway, sorry. I know it's really exciting. No. Alright. So, I have been doing 3D printing for the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. Actually, yeah, it's about 2 years I've had this thing. And I've gotten a lot of printing done, but I've had a lot of failures. In fact, part of 3D printing, and this is why I like having ABS plastic, because I have a lot of failure. And this is only this is the white bucket. I have a black bucket for the black filament, and it's basically I just print in white or black because I can paint it and stuff. And black is really, you know, it's hard to get good true blacks, so that's why I print in black and white. Although color printing is on the way, and that is really exciting. Anyway, so yeah, you have to fail a lot, and I just failed right there. And well, I'm going to try let's try it again. Go back up here to see what's printing. I'm going to try this one more effing time, just for shits and giggles. Alright. I can't even spin it around while it's... Oh yeah, so the process right now is it's taking the 3D model and it is taking it step by step and creating a toolpath from the very base of it on the platform, and it's going up in increments that I define. Right now this one's going up by increments of 2.2 millimeter to be exact, and it then essentially does the entire toolpath going back and forth, and then it drops the printer bed down one level, and then it extrudes the filament on top of that layer that you just printed. So it essentially works like an old-fashioned coiled pot, where it starts at the bottom and it keeps going up and up and up and up until you get the top of the pot done. The problem with that technique is that if you try to go over top of an area, you'll have overhang, and that will actually cause it to droop down. Oh, okay, so we're ready to print. I'm just going to try one more effing time, because that's what 3D printing is all about. One more time. Alright, so let's go back to Fusion 360. And, okay, yeah, that looks like that's printing. And let's get on with the modeling and stuff. There are things. Yeah, center that a little bit. Okay. And we're printing. Yay. Alright, that sounds like we're... Oh yeah, no, that's much better. Yeah. Maybe not so much better. Alright, I need to put something underneath that. Cancel. Try again later. Okay, I'll cancel that. Alright, as much as this is exciting and everything, which it is totally not exciting, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to be doing some quick outreach to make sure that people are actually watching, because nobody's here in my live stream. And let me make sure I got that going. And there we go. And on now, and every Friday at, you know what, I'm gonna set it to 9 Eastern. It seems like a better time to start the show. 9 Eastern. It's Monty Python's Flying Circus. No, it's going to be called Futurism Friday. Futurism Friday. Yeah. Alright, so that's what I'm going to call my thing until I figure out a better name for it. And let's just make sure that I've got everything set up right. Like to do start. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so I think that means that, yeah. Sorry, this is not exciting. I'll edit this out in post, maybe? I don't know. I don't do that. Too much to do. Not enough time. I'm going to change the settings real quick on this stupid print. I'm going to make it a right extruder. And save settings. I'm going to put a raft underneath this thing. Yeah, what the hell? I'm going to put supports if I'm going to put a raft on it. Raft and supports. So color matched. There we go. 5%. Alright. Okay. And oh, actually I'm calling it Futurist Fridays. Yay for consistency. Futurist, not futurism, Futurist Friday. Three D printing, too much 3D printing. No. Not a whole lot of 3D printing, apparently. Alright, let's take a look at this hard thing. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a big mound of plastic on the thing. Alright, well hopefully this will work. Start the print. It's probably gonna take like 4 hours anyway. Well, a nice new cell phone case or something like that. 3D printing and the wonders of VR and AR and questions about the game. Alrighty. Let's publish this puppy. And I'll go put a boost on the thing. I'm only going to boost it for like I don't know, 2 days, budget duration. I have not done this very much. Where is the cut? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I'll just put $5. I don't believe any of this actually works. I'm really just, I'm giving my money to Facebook. Thanks, Facebook. Okay. Oh, ow. Hot end. Okay. Good thing my girlfriend Okay, let's see. We are now going to print the damn thing, I hope, finally. Yeah. Alright, promotion has been submitted. Alright, that'll probably take forever, and I'll probably get no response. Yay, no response. Anyway. I'll go back over here, and then I'll go and let's tell my local friends about this thing. UniCron Studios is my name. UniCron Studios on the Facebook. Alright. Yes, it's nightlife. Alright, so I'm gonna share this. Wait, no, what am I doing? I gotta go to the UniCron Studios page. There it is. Okay. I'm sure there should be an app to do all this crap, but I don't know. Alright, I'm gonna share this with my friends. Share now. Share post now. Blah blah blah. Oh, cool. Oh, I'll bet you they're using. Alright, so anyway. Excitement never begins. I think we are properly printing this now. Alright, so first things we need to do here, I'm going to be turn off all the bodies. All I want to do is see what I'm going to be making today. I think actually all I'm going to make is probably an arm socket, a two-part arm socket. Okay. And where's the Patreon? Patreon should come to the top. There we go. Okay. Well, so if you want to check out my Patreon account, that is going to be all about basically launching some 3D printing of some tiki mugs that I made special a couple years ago. I have not gotten around to casting them all in what is it called? Plaster Paris and making proper porcelain slip cast tiki mugs out of them. They will be pretty awesome collector's items once I get them done. And to get the first one done, it's going to take a bit of money. I think it's going to be about $150. I was looking around for it. I don't know where the actual prototype is. Oh. So here's 3 out of the 4 that I'm working with right now. I'll show you where that is. Okay, so first one that I'm trying to get printed. I've already printed out here, but I actually tried doing a regular mold here. I've actually got the mold separation lines still on the model. It's a 3-part mold. It was a little complicated, and then I was afraid, oh wait, I don't think these glasses are actually going to be something I can cast really that easily. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and decided, well, maybe I'll wait till Shapeways comes out with their 3D printing of porcelain and see what that does. And it works really well, so I'm really impressed with it, and it means that you'll be able to get the quality of a 3D printed mug that you could not get in production, like if you did it as a cold cast pour, slip pour into a mold. You can't get this level of complexity to actually get it out of the mold. It would actually mold lock, generally, meaning that you can't get it out without destroying the actual porcelain that's inside it. Especially things for like helper's eyes would be nearly impossible to, I mean, you have to basically have like 3 or 4 different layers to separate the mold in order to pull it out, unless it was made out of silicone, but you would still possibly mar the surface of the porcelain when you try to demold it. So just little mold making techniques and stuff. And this is actually like really thin ABS plastic. So that's Helper. You Venture Brothers fans out there might recognize these. And that's Dr. Orpheus. And this is Henry Killinger. And so these are a little bit oversized because I heard that porcelain generally shrinks by about 10%, so I made them a little bit bigger than the final ones. In any case, so if you'll help me out on the Patreon account there, we can get those at least proofed. And once I proof them, that means that I'll be able to let you buy them, and they'll come in different glazes, and it'll be really awesome. Oh, actually, I do have an example of my first proofed porcelain. Let me get that. This little chia seed planter, which unfortunately the chia seed doesn't live very long if you don't water it. I went away for a weekend and it died. But I can grow some more. Anyway, this is on my Shapeways site, and it came out pretty nice. I really like the blue. The blue really brings out the detail in the eyes and stuff. And I think this was around either $35 or $40 to have this printed. So you can get the idea of the scale, and it's pretty thick. It's over 3 millimeters in a lot of areas. And I tried to make it as thin as I could get away with without destroying the integrity of the mold. But it holds water, and that's the best part. And they're also machine washable, so you can put it in the dishwasher. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I want to make some more things. I was thinking maybe some shaving, little shaving type things. Maybe a techno futurist shaving kit, something like that. Anyway, so back to modeling in Fusion 360. So first thing I'm going to have to do here is figure out if anybody wants to watch me model in Fusion 360, which is probably not. I totally understand. I don't really want to watch myself model in Fusion 360. It's painful. So I need to learn a lot, really. Alright, let's see, we got wrist. Well, we need to see the wrist. We need to see breasts. No, we don't need to see breasts. It's always fun, but we don't need to see them right now. Put those away. I should name all these layers so I don't have to just blindly go around. Oh, there we go. Okay, there's the belly, don't need that. Forearm, okay. Now we're cooking. Forearm front, forearm back. Man, this model has been annoying because I've never named these pieces right, so from now on I'm going to name everything. And it's really annoying, but for keeping track of all these pieces, it's going to be a bitch if we don't start naming shit. Even though this doesn't matter. But alright, so that would be elbow. I don't even know what side of the elbow. Oh, that's the back of the elbow. Back. Hand. The left hand. I always tend to work on the left hand side of the body, but to me, I'm working on my right hand side of the anatomy. So I'm going to mirror all this stuff, so I only need to work on one side. Okay, elbow back, forearm back, turn off forearm front. Okay, so on a real ball jointed doll, real being one that one that I paid for, and never mind her nudity. She's not shy. But anyway, so I had to look at the way these joints were made, and I figured, well, the best thing to do is to look at one that has been successfully cast and basically look into how the joints operate. Not really to copy it, because I don't necessarily want to have the exact same design. In fact, I actually would like to put a bend in this part of the arm. But I need to figure out, like, okay, so there's a little ball joint here, and the ball goes in towards the joint and is pretty much smooth and on the outer edge it's pretty straightforward. There's no bulge outwards, which on my model there's definitely a noticeable bulge upwards, which I guess I was approximating like the shoulder region, but all this doesn't need to be there. But what we're doing right now is focusing on the functionality of the joints, because I'm building sort of an under skeleton to wrap the artwork on top of it. All right. So if you look at her arm, and just put it straight out to the side. Okay, actually, oh, that's not good. What's going on there? Oh god, that joint is all messed up. Oh, what have I done? Jeez. Okay, there we go. So this doesn't actually have a real elbow, it just has sort of a joint that goes back and forth on either side. It doesn't really have an actual elbow there. That looks weird. And no, if I did that, something really weird is happening. Okay, so I need to just look at this joint and essentially analyze. Okay, it just goes out straight, pretty much. I'm gonna flip around this way. Oh, that's why. I bent the whole thing upside down. Oh god, what have I done? Well, I don't really pose these very often. Okay. It's pretty much a straight shot, right out from the armpit. Okay, so it actually has a little slot that goes straight up and down, and allows it to fold this way. Okay. So that was the big problem here, is that the arm should go straight up and down, and the slot's actually going the wrong direction if you look at the slot on this. So next one I make, which is going to be right now, I'm going to make sure that I put the spherical ball joint straight up and down, not this way. And I'm pretty much going to draw it out this direction. Alright. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to get the center point of this arm, which I just have already gotten the center point right there. And I want to make a construction plane at a point. Construction plane at tangent to face at point. No, that's not what I want. So this is me figuring out a program that I barely have any understanding of how to use. Okay, plane along path. That looks like a good solution. Let's do that. No, not that direction. And of course that's not the direction I wanted, and this will just put the other way. They want one that goes this way. Oy. Alright. I'll just put it right there, and hopefully that'll work. Plane along path. Blah blah blah. Okay, I put it. Where is that? Is it in the center? No, it's not. Okay. Oh, wait. No, I don't want it to go frag. Alright, no, that's not what I wanted. I actually did want it here. Derp, derp, derp. Plane. Where was I? Plane. Along path. Okay. Wait, no. I actually wanted to. I could probably just do that over and over and not. These are not fluffy little clouds. Wrong direction. Can I do this? Wait, like that. Yeah, like that. There we go. That's what we want right there. Look at that. Now it would be nice if it were bigger, but we'll take it. Alright, I'm going to do a new sketch on that construction plane. And I want to basically I want to make sure that the center point here and center point, actually this center point near here needs to go straight out along this way. Oh, look at that. Look, it just traces it beautifully. Look at that. Alright. So I want it to end about here. And I'm gonna make it, let's say it's gonna be 9 millimeters from the center point. Yeah, let's make it 9. No, not 109. No. 9. 9! Alright. 9 out. And then we'll bring it back over here. And, it's driving me crazy. Alright, I'll just pick up this line later. Alright. So now we have the top and a bottom. The center of my line is going to be where the center of the thing is going to be hollowed out. Alright. I'm going to turn off this guy. Chest. Where's the other chest? Sketches. Nope, I don't want to draw a line. Oh god, no. Ugh. You're killing me, thing. Oh, there's somebody else watching. Hey, hello, other person. Hello. Nice to meet you, other person. Alright. So, basically I'm going to go in here and duplicate this line. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll just take this and flip it. I'll put some symmetry around this axis. And let's see here. I'll do trim. Nope. Actually, right. That. Nope. Mirror. Okay. Yeah, let's just start mirroring this crap. So I want to do mirror all. Can I mirror the whole sketch? Alright, I'm going to just mirror these two sides and we'll see what happens. Again, I've never really, I haven't used this program very much at all, so I kind of don't know what I'm doing. I mirrored it. Yay. Okay, so now I got a rudimentary, what's going to be a part of our model that I'm going to hang all my artwork on. So I've already made a ball jointed doll once, but I'm going to make it better this time with a real skeletal structure that I can hang all these 3D printed parts on top of. And I showed you this earlier, but you were not. Actually, there was nobody here, so here. This is what I'm currently working on. If I can see what the hell I'm doing here. Hold on for one moment. One moment, though. Yeah, okay, so basically I've been making her on my 3D printer. She's mostly articulated. She's got some problems in the knee, which is one of the reasons why I'm redoing her. And her ball joints in this area don't work too well, so basically she's my prototype, and she's got like little cracks forming here and there. This is ABS plastic, and I actually did the eyes with some ABS plastic, I think. And I used nail polish, UV reactive nail polish, and that's how I got the eyes looking like that. She's got doll eyes. Kind of disturbing. Alright, anyway. If you have any questions, just fire away. Oh, hey. Yeah, I'll keep my chat window visible so I can see what you're saying to me. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to probably make a joint in here. This actual ball jointed doll doesn't have articulation in this joint, and I actually frankly don't like the articulation in this joint either. The 3D printer that I currently got was a real investment. I was saving up for a car, and I was unemployed for a little bit. So, well, I figured I'm not driving anywhere, and my car still works, so I'm going to buy a printer. So I did some research and realized I can't build a printer because I have no effing clue how to do that. And I'm trying to make stuff, so because I was trying to turn my 3D models into viable printable things. So I thought, well, I could start a business where I'm printing people's stuff that they need printed. And so I made the investment of $2,700 in a MakerBot Replicator 2, which it was experimental, so I was like, oh cool, it's experimental, and there's like all this user base, and I heard about the Thingiverse, and I was like, oh wow, okay. And I had met Bree Pettis about 2 years before that. It was like 2010 when I met him, and I was so impressed with MakerBot. I was like, this is an awesome company made of makers. I bought the whole kit and caboodle. And unfortunately, this printer was the last good one, well, the last models of good ones before they got new ownership. And they also went closed source with this one, which I wasn't even aware of that at the time. And now you can buy the same type of printer by multiple other small, non-Fortune 500 company purchased for $500. It wouldn't have heated build plate and enclosed build plate or enclosed area, which is all there's patents on that shit. So you have to basically pay the piper for that if you want it, or you can go to China and take your chances, pay for half the price of the printer, and the Wanhao printers work pretty good from what I've heard. But there's also a possibility that they won't work that well, and so you get what you pay for. And you're also getting a stolen product because they essentially just cloned the original Replicator 2. Anyway, that's a little thing about 3D printers. Got any more questions, I'll talk about them. It's also a whole new type of printer. Not that new, actually. It came out about a year later. And that's an SLS resin-based printer, and they get much higher resolution than what the filament printers will do. But they're much more expensive as far as the cost. Like I can buy a spool of filament for $10. That's like a pound or a kilogram, sorry, a kilogram for $10 or $12 plus shipping. And if you want a gallon of resin, it's going to be about $100. Maybe even more for a gallon. And it just, I mean, you make smaller models, like the resin printers are going to give you a build area about that big by that big by that big. So it'll be there forever. I mean, it'll look really high resolution, but you'll be there for effing ever waiting to build something, a third scale model. Anyway, yeah, so 3D printing is definitely coming around the bend. It's gone through a real... Actually, there's some parallels between 3D printing and virtual reality that are kind of disturbing. I'm seeing the same sort of like, oh, it can do anything, well, 3D print cars, and blah, blah, blah. And people are 3D printing cars, and that's really fucking cool. However, there was a lot of over-promising, and a bubble formed on the stock market, and I see the same kind of things happening in the 3D printing world. And it sucks being a futurist because you're also a bit of a historian, and I've seen this shit before. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is effectively draw a joint. I want to basically have a nice little joint like right about there. So I'm going to continue this sketch, and I'm going to do a... Okay, I'll actually measure it and see what we got here. Place first point. let me inspect this. I'm going to go and measure this line. Go from here to there. The measurement is... no, I don't like that. Oh, I don't know. Length is 80 millimeters. Oh, that's actually pretty close. Alright, that's a nice number. We'll go with that. So I'm going to do there. And what I'm going to do is basically go in. I'm going to make a rotational joint in here. So I'm going to come, let's go about 3 millimeters. 3 millimeters, lock it, hit that, go to the right. And can I do this? I'm not sure if I can do this. Alright, let's try not to question ourselves. Alright, so I'm going to go 5 millimeters in depth this way, and then we'll go back down this way. Okay, so basically what I'm going to have is an inner joint and an outer joint. They're going to, the separation is going to happen right here. Actually, what I'm working on is it's part of a bigger game. The idea is that the player gets to build their own androids and in the game, and they get to do a lot more than what you really can do in reality right now. But they're going to learn some basic scientific principles, and that's actually going to be the game mechanics. And as they're unlocking different pieces of the 3D model, they're going to be able to swap them and change them, change the facial features, pull out the nose, you know, all kinds of stuff. And the idea is that once they get a model that they like, they can play with it and pose it and, I don't know, have a tea party, I don't know what. Want it to be sort of an open-ended sandbox kind of game. But they're going to be constantly visited by various scientists and interesting thinkers as they're unlocking the pieces. And then, to monetize it, they will be able to 3D print them at Shapeways. And I will, they'll basically hopefully pay for the doll, and I'll get some of the profits, and it'll be a free-to-play game for kids. I was trying to do the request thing, but it unfortunately doesn't. It takes a lot of time to do these projects, and I really can't bid them out for what people are willing to pay. I mean, frankly, I charge around $60 an hour of consulting time, and people just aren't willing to do that because it takes me hours to do this shit, and you know, people generally aren't willing to pay for it. So the best way to do it for me as an artist is to make stuff that I like, and that once I get it done, I'll put it in the marketplace, and if I've done it right and, you know, people like it, they'll buy it as a piece of art that I've created. But I can't take commissions. I can't live on commissions. I'm not fast enough, essentially, at doing this. Hope that answers your question. Okay, I'm going to take these. Oh, I should. Hold on. Almost screwed that up. Go back into Sketch. Make sure you go back in this little timeline thing here. Right. And I'm going to take these pieces here, and I want to do another one of those mirror things. And I'll use that line as the mirror point. Wait, no selection. I hate you. No, not that. Alright, back to selecting that piece, and that piece. And then I want to do mirror line, which is that piece. And bam! Hey, that actually worked. Yay! All right, now we're cooking. All right, so that's gonna be the joint. Oh, fast track. Oh, that's a great idea. You know, I actually used to work at Disney. I worked at Epcot in Innovations. And funny story about that is I saw the future of 3D printing back in 1998. And I designed an entire exhibit to go in Innovations and to essentially do 3D printing, sort of 3D printing. It was a 3D printing character interaction exhibit, and I was ready to deliver it, and unfortunately management told me that I would have to be laid off or quit under my contract in order to talk to the people that would be willing to hear it. But yeah, I'm totally... Actually, I had an interesting idea for the VR experience on that ride, because I watched them as they were building the fast track, or the test track, not fast track. And when they were building test track, I actually watched it warp away from the side of the building because they were sending it at 80 miles an hour around that curve. And the World of Motion, which was the exhibit before then, was never meant to have that kind of stress being applied to the side of the building. So they slowed it down significantly so they make it safe. And I was like, wow, that sucks, because they put all this money and effort into making the thing work. And they had like really powerful computers on board each car. And yet they had to slow it down so much that they basically dumbed down the whole ride. And I was like, you know, if we could just get some head-mounted displays or some kind of thing like that, we could encapsulate the whole thing so that it's all dark. Unless you go outside, maybe you could, you know, just do it outside too. I don't know. I was actually thinking you could have like a head-mounted display kind of thing in front of every person in the car. Probably too expensive at the time. But the idea would be make it look like you're going really, really fast on the video that's being played back in front of you. Your vestibular system doesn't understand that you're not actually going that fast, but if you move the car a little bit and you're actually accelerating a little bit, it'll be enough to fool the vestibular system into thinking that you are going 80 miles an hour, maybe even 300 miles an hour, if you just make it go fast. You know, you're going through a forest and it's going really, really fast. Anyway, yeah, so I was not in the position. I was trying to get into Imagineering at the time, and they're like, they were just interested in paying me $7.20 an hour or whatever the hell I was making back then, and it kind of sucked, to be frank. Because I was all for doing. I wanted to be the next Imagineer, and they just weren't interested in. I was doing a lot of cool shit with that place, but they're like, oh well, we're really concerned about SIGGRAPH because last time it came through town, all the SIGGRAPH Orlando people got taken away. So like, you're not planning on going to SIGGRAPH, are you? I'm like, well, I'm thinking about it. Anyway, yeah, so I got hired doing 3D without any kind of education. I'm self-taught. I was a fine artist in college, but I managed to get a couple animation classes made while I was there. And there was a computer graphics class that I took there, but for the most part, I'm self-taught. So, and I've been using 3D Studio Max and stuff for about 20 years. Yeah, I can't really do. I would like to go back to Disney, and I've actually been looking for local opportunities. And the thing is that every time I see a job offering, it's like, hey, want to be an internship? Want to work for free? If you're in the college program, we will certainly love to talk to you. And we're doing stuff like 3D printing. And I'm like, I can't work for free, you bastards. So until they change their hiring structure there, I'll have to go to MIT or be some kind of like robotics person to even get a look at over there. I mean, they're basically, they got a great farm team here in Orlando with Full Sail and Dave's School and FIA. They're all really good schools, and there's a lot of really good kids coming out, and they all leave to go somewhere else. And they're missing the boat pretty much. But I'm working on my own stuff, and maybe I actually would like to make an interactive exhibit with this, so it would be like Build-A-Bear or Build-A-Android. So yeah, maybe something will happen. I'm going to try to get next year, or this year actually. I'm trying to get together some parts of my game that I'm working on, so that I can actually get it as a displayed. You walk into an exhibit, there's stuff that's mapped to the room, and it looks like you're actually in this 3D world, and I want to get some real-time interaction going on. I'm probably going to use something called it's Intel RealSense is what it's called right now. And Intel RealSense allows you to see facial expressions and actually track them real time. You can actually do 24 points of articulation, so you can get every single joint of your fingers. And they're going to be putting it on cell phones, they're going to be putting it on laptops. Like, the camera can actually pick up so much information, it's scary. But you can actually do 3D modeling or 3D scanning from this camera, because it does structured light scanning and photometric at the same time. And it's a little slow, but they're doing some pretty cool shit with it. So I'm thinking about buying one of those. The dev kit for that is like $100, and slapping a video projector onto it, and we'll see what we can make with it. Anyway, that answers your question. If I'm thinking about going back to Disney, nah, probably not. Yep, we're doing it Han Solo style. No Chewbacca. Alright, well, this actually needs to be brought in, so I'm going to bring this down. Move it down. Oh god, no, that's not good. Okay, let's take that little constraint out. Maybe that was causing it? Oh, what the frag? Okay, well, I'm going to take that off. Okay, there we go. And we got a mirror and everything. Look at that. Beautiful. Alright, so I want this to actually be... It looks like a pretty good angle. So the socket, the ball is actually here, and it goes right into there, so that's actually pretty good. Alright, I'm going to simplify this edge. No, maybe not. No. Alright. I'm just going to put a big box through this thing. I'm planning on revolving the whole thing, so I put a big box in the center. I should be able to get rectangle. I want to make it a 2-point rectangle. So we'll go here, and actually that's one place first corner. I really wish I could measure all the way down the side of the face. Alright, I'm just going to do it this way. Kind of crappy. So I want to go 3 millimeters down. 3 millimeters is a minimum size that you can make for a porcelain printed piece. So just in case I ever wanted to print the skeleton in porcelain, I'm making it so that I can do that. Alright. Okay, so that's the inner channel, which would give me 6. If I can do this right, I'll get a nice 6 millimeter channel going down the center of it. I'll make sure that that's right. Oh god. Okay. And I'll just go all the way to the edge here. Blammo. Alright, now let's see. We had a choke point of I couldn't get the thicker nylon to go through this area. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got a lot of ideas, and I'm trying to get them all done, but that's the problem with being a bit of a futurist. Is I'm making stuff, but I'm also like thinking about all the things I want to make, and if I had a team of people working with me, this would go a lot faster. And but anyway, until then, it's just me with a lot of ideas, and I like spouting out crap, as you can see. I tend to talk your ear off. Alright, so I had a problem with this part here because that was not going through and hooking in that well. Well, it does hook in okay, but so I need to make it so that at least here's my caliper. Here's my caliper. Okay. Okay, so that's two strings together are 5 millimeters. So the channel needs to be at least 6 millimeters, and that's what we got here. So we're good. 3 and 3 is 6. I can do math. All right. So I'll just mirror that, and I can get rid of these lines. Okay. Blammo. What else do we want with that? No, we don't want that. Just want that line. And we want that. No, we don't want that one. Alright, actually I just need that. This and that. Okay. Let's mirror that again. Mirror. And one section there. Blammo. Okay. Now I got the channel. We're cooking. So I need to delete this. And delete that. Delete that. Oh, wait. Oh, there's a problem. That did not work. I got this. Alright. I think I need to potentially destroy all this. Let me just get rid of this. Nope, I can't get rid of it. Oh, yes I can. Alright. Don't get mad at me. I'm just cleaning this up for my own sanity. Alright. Actually, I need keep that channel open. Don't need this crap over here. Oh, but I need to break it. Okay, let's turn off all this extra crap. Alright. Yeah, we need to trim. Oh, look at that. I just did it automatically. Look at that. Oh, this program is so awesome. It just knows what the hell you want to do. Alright. I'll do a fillet on that edge. Actually, that's not good fancy. Alright, the inner and the outer piece, I could put a little ball here, and that could go all the way around the edge. So let's do that. I'm going to do a circle, and it's going to be a 2-pointer. No, actually, let's just make it a center diameter circle. Oh, look at that. It just knows exactly where I want to put it. Right there. Okay. So that is that's what we wanted. Right now, let's make sure I got all this. Alright, I think we're ready to go. So what I'm going to do is, well, maybe not. I just want to see what it looks like right now, so what I'm going to do is rotate this whole thing around the axis. And I think I can do that. Let's create, I want to create a revolve. Yeah, a revolve. Okay. So, all I have to do is grab the edges I want to revolve. Oh, I gotta trim this, or break it. Let's see, break that. Okay. And I think that's good. Okay. So that's broken. Got it. Alright. And I want to keep. Oh, what is this going to be? Okay, I need to have separate pieces anyway, so I'm going to revolve this. This edge is. Oh, wait. Actually, this. I'll get to it later. Alright, so I got this edge here. I need to trim. Oh, I definitely need to trim this. Okay, let's trim. No, trim. Break. Break it there. No, what the. Oh, God. No. Undo. Oh, God. Oh. No, that's not what I wanted. Eek. It's over-constrained, as they say. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna make a second one that goes just inside this one. And let's see here. I'm gonna do a offset. There, and I'll do an offset by 0.2 millimeter. Okay. You'll see what that means later. Oh, wait, did I want to do that? Maybe? Oh, this one needs to be broken. So many little tiny decisions. I'll get better at this, I hope. You're literally watching me make my first solid model toy. Oh man, yeah, it's a complicated program for sure. It took me to get to where I am, where I'm actually able to import shit and get this to, you know, draw these lines and stuff. It's probably taken me a good, probably 200 hours of working on this stuff. But I've been working in 3D since 1997 is when I started in this industry, or at least trying down the route of, hey, I want to do 3D. How do I get to a computer that can do that? But when you're self-taught, it does take a lot longer to learn stuff. And I mean, I now have the internet, where when I started, I had to get books and stuff. So the internet does help a lot. There's a lot of tutorials on how to do it. You could probably go to school for it, but frankly, there's a new, with fused filament, and basically what with this 3D printing stuff is a new type of design, where when you go to engineering school, they're going to teach you about rolled steel, punches, casting, and manufacturing from a mass production level, but it's not. They're not going to be able to grow it. It's not a organically structured object. So if they can't produce it by knocking it out, a million per hour of a widget, It's basically they don't design for that, and they don't teach that kind of design right now. At least not that I'm aware of. Anyway, Autodesk, which makes a lot of these programs, in fact, they make the one I'm currently using, has this really cool idea of, hey, we can design stuff and grow it like a coral reef. And we can put all the material where it needs to be and don't put any material where it doesn't need to be. So we'll save on material. We'll make something that's really strong structurally because it's actually going to be built as if it were grown. And additive manufacturing is what it's called. So if you're actually going to look up this kind of stuff and you wanted to find a course directory, you're looking for a class on additive manufacturing, which is what 3D printing is going to be all about. It's totally different. If you were going to engineering, 10 years ago, this would not be really on your radar. I mean, for prototyping, yeah, you would be using a 3D printer. 10, 20, 30 years ago, they had 3D printers. But now you're actually talking about building rocket engines and cars and other stuff by growing it out of the materials. Anyway, I went off, as I do. Alright, so I think I can do that. Oh yeah, okay, we'll do that too. Right, oh. So I've got this piece. And what am I doing here? This piece needs to be just joined into a socket eventually. I'm gonna probably just not worry about that right now. Okay, here's my structure. Now I just need to revolve it. I'm going to go into selection mode. Where the hell is that? Okay. Selecting things. I'm going to select this first. Wait, not that. Wait, yes. I want to select that piece, that piece, that piece. Let's go in here. I'm going to select. Oh, damn it. Alright, I'm going to keep that selection set. Where's a shortcut for that? Damn it. Tell me, Internet. There should be a selection set. Create selection set. There we go. Alright, selection set will be for upper arm edges. Upper arm, upper shoulder edges. Alright, so I should be able to add more of these later. Now, this line needs to be cut. So I'm going to go in here to break. Break that shit right there. Good. And break it there. And very good. It's not letting me break. Okay, now it's broken. Alright, now I want to go and add that. No, we don't want to break. Sorry. Cancel. Okay, got it. Okay, so I want that one, I want this one, and I want that one. And I want that one. Wait, I don't want that. Son of a bitch. Alright, I should be able to just add these to the selection set. Update. Oh god, you're killing me. I don't understand. Alright, that is what I want. No. Yes, that's what I want. Okay, so that, and I'm going to revolve it around this line here. So let's go over here. And we'll go, wait, no, go over there. And I want to revolve. Yes. Revolve that selection around this axis. Lumpo. Okay, so now we have our first tube part of the arm, which is looking really thick right now, and I think I might need to reduce that. And you see there's actually like a little curvature, which the other side is actually going to fit in. And actually, I think I need to draw a little bit of a line there, but alright, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to call that done. That's a piece of a joint. And now go back to our sketch. And I'm going to do this other side plus this and that. And that. There we go. And actually, I may not even like that, but we'll just try doing a revolve around that selection, and we'll do full revolve. Blammo! Yes. And all the things. Now we have all the things. Okay, so basically what I've made is a forearm. Kind of. With a revolving thing, so I'll be able to actually mount the shell on top of it. This is the underlying skeletal structure, essentially. And the whole arm is actually way higher because of this crazy little bend that I put in there, which I know not to do that now. So, all right. Oh, and it looks like our cool. So what you might be hearing over there is that. We're printing out a cell phone case that I made earlier today. And it's printing in plastic, which is much better than I have a elastomer plastic, which I have not been successfully able to get through the extruder, but anyway. Alright. It's getting late, and I think it might be time to call it at night. So, let's see what time it is. Oh, it's midnight. Alright, guys. Well, I've been enjoying talking your ear off. I got one piece done. The upper arm, which I've been meaning to get to all week. Let me turn off the old versions of her, and I'll show you what I've got right now before I close everything out. So, currently, I have, where the hell is the other part? Real mess, actually. Alright, so currently I have a neck. This is for the head. Half of the section that will basically mount a magnet into it, so that I can put the skull cap on and mount the head in the front. There's actually a ball somewhere for this ball joint, which I don't know where I put it, but it's somewhere in there. I've got this rotational cuff, and I'll be doing the rest of the ball jointed doll later. This is actually, this whole piece here needs to be mirrored so that it has two sides. And I thought about doing the pelvis, but I'll have to get to that later. So essentially, to finish things off, this week I actually printed this head. Go full screen. So I printed this head into two pieces, and I don't know if you can tell, but this piece actually has a ring, and there's actually a little remnant of it because it came off during the print. I don't know where it went. Where the structure on the screen over here, where is it? This structure over here is actually in the neck of this print. So I actually took my artwork out of ZBrush, which is over here, and essentially got it to fit onto the skeletal structure that I've already. So this was previously, I already took this skeletal structure from the other program, brought it into ZBrush, and melded the surfaces together. So this way I get precise interlocking shapes with a nice organic finish to it. So as you can see, that is what printed, and unfortunately sometimes prints fail and we're missing like half of her ear. But when I get this actually done as a game, I'm hoping to send it all, or have it all sent to Shapeways, and so people will get a full, fully finished model without any of these little mistakes on it. But I'm also wanting to give the people who download the program the ability to print these models themselves, and they can discover the joys and horrors of 3D printing themselves. Although in the next year, if I wouldn't be doing the service of being a futurist, over this next year we may see HP printers printing 3D, full color 3D, in some sort of a UV cured or some kind of glass based thing. I was reading the patent, it was really interesting. So yeah, maybe we'll have 3D, full color 3D printers not too far away. Could be a year from now or maybe next year. But that will revolutionize everything, and then we'll be, doing stuff in Photoshop or doing models in ZBrush, taking images with your cell phone camera from an actual object in reality with color on it, and fully 3D reproducing that on your home printer if you like. You can do it now at Shapeways, but the colors are not really that crisp. And really, I mean, 3D printing is an amazing thing, but it's not quite a toaster that you can just plug any model into, so there's definitely a learning curve on it. Anyway, that's been my UniCron Studios doing Futurism Friday, or Futurist Friday, or whatever the hell we're going to call it. This has been episode number 4 in the series of who knows how many episodes, but thanks for coming by and checking out my video, and I hope you just enjoyed the dulcet tones of me rapping about the future, or whatever I just did. And hopefully I'll do some more artistic stuff in the future. This was actually kind of boring. I probably will not subject you guys to this again, because I find this really just daunting, the amount of brain stuff that's going on. And really, I spent more than half my time talking, so if I were just sculpting and talking, I think this would go a lot faster. So, anyway, thanks. I'll be doing this 9 o'clock Eastern every Friday from here on out. Adios.